All right. Good afternoon and welcome to today's session, Meet with Digital Thinkers. In the next 1 hour or a little more, we will hear straight from the digital leaders and have a no-holds-barred discussion about their experience in the field of digital and cloud transformation. For those who may not know me, my name is Rahul Neelmani. I'm your moderator for today's session and also the editor of Dynamic CIO. So before we go into the session live, I would like to spend a little time with all of you to give you a context as to what are we going to discuss, what's the prelude to the discussion, and then we will have a very lively and a very interesting discussion which I have lined up for you. By now, most C-suite executives have led their companies to digitize at least some part of their business to protect the employees and serve customers facing movement restrictions as a result of the COVID-19 crisis that we are all going through. It reminds me of a quote given by a large tech company CEO who says, and I quote, "We are witnessing what will surely be remembered as a historic deployment of remote work and digital access to services across every domain." Now, if you have carefully listened to this quote, things have actually changed dramatically and drastically. Indeed, the recent data suggests that we have vaulted 5 years forward in consumer and business digital adoption in a matter of just around 8 to 9 weeks. So, for example, banks have transitioned to remote sales and services team and launched digital outreach. Grocery stores have shifted to online ordering and delivery as their primary business model. Schools have pivoted to nearly 100% online learning and digital classrooms. Now, what a revolution it is. Doctors have begun delivering telemedicine aided by more flexible regulation. Manufacturers are actively developing plans for lights out factories and supply chain. The list actually goes on. It's a long list, it will go on. The challenging economic outlook and continued uncertainty have indeed forced the CEOs, I'm particularly talking about the CEOs, to contemplate some difficult choices. Some are going to pulling in, some will be making cuts. The focus on focusing on riding out the storm. Others, however, are taking a decisive action to make sure that when the crisis ends, they'll be stronger than what they are today. Research and experience show that those acting with a through cycle mindset will be the best position to accelerate out of this downturn. Even during, if we refer to the recessions of 2007 and 8, even during those times, the top quintile of companies was ahead of their peers by 20 percentage points as they moved into the recovery in terms of cumulative total returns to stakeholders, TRS. 8 years later, their lead had gone to more than 150 percentile points. And one key lesson from that experience is that the companies that move early and decisively in the crisis, they perform the best. With the unlockdown 1 and 2.0, as we see the reopening of businesses and works, businesses are considering how to return to some semblance of full speed in an unstable environment which lockdowns will ease in waves. In doing so, they will need to confront some structural changes that are playing out. So firstly, customer behavior and preferred interactions have changed significantly. We'll have to take care of that. Secondly, as the economy is trying to lurch back, demand recovery will be very unpredictable. It will be uneven across geographies, sectors, product categories, and customer segments. That needs to be considered. And finally, many organizations have shifted to remote working models. a remote uh, a remote first setup that allows companies to mobilize global expertise instantly, organize a product review with least number of people immediately, and respond to customer inquiries more rapidly by providing everything from the product information to sales and after sales support digitally, all of it digitally. Uh, so there are many technologies that form the bedrock of success of this digital transformation that we are undergoing. But one that's the foundation for all is the cloud-based platforms and solutions. From smaller stuff like cloud-based VDI solutions to collaborative platforms to cloud-based DR, uh, it is actually the technology has many promises to offer for addressing the needs of businesses in terms of scale, in terms of speed, in terms of its flexibility, and also agility. So if I say that cloud is the agent of digital transformation and digital disruption, I think it won't be categorized as any exaggeration. And we can see that there are significant benefits that organizations are reaping by pursuing both digital and cloud transformation in tandem. Organizations that have implemented or are planning on implementing a digital transformation strategy mostly refer to cloud as a critical input. I mean, without cloud, I think the digital transformation journey is a non-starter. Implementing a digital transformation strategy benefits the cloud users, and those that have statistically more likely to report experiencing greater benefits from their cloud deployments. So without delving too much into the data and crunching the numbers that I have already done, let me straight away come to the point, and the point that has got all of us together today. We'll jump into an interactive session with Shailinder Thakur, who's the CEO at Radix Electrosystems. Shailinder is an alumnus of IIT Delhi with MBA from IIM Kolkata. He holds a great deal of experience, 2 decades of experience, is focused on value creation, and is ensuring high growth for his organization, which is Radix. Uh, Before joining Radix, he has previously worked in consulting, private equity, and in operations. In his earlier role, he was responsible for setting up pharmaceutical manufacturing plants across the world, including Latin America and the UK. Um, Among many things, we will talk about how he thinks that cloud has helped or will help build the future of his organization. So, welcome, Shailinder. Welcome to the Digital Thinkers Show.
Thank you for inviting me, Rahul, and good afternoon to everyone.
Good afternoon, and let me straight away jump into a round of warm-up questions with you, and then we will come to specifics. So briefly, tell us about Radix from its formation to this day, how the company has transformed.
Thank you, Rahul. Thank you for the nice introduction, and good afternoon, everyone. So, talking about Radix, the journey started almost 4 decades ago. As a company, this was started by a young engineer called with the name of Mr. Samir Shah. He graduated from IIT Bombay in 1978, and 1980 he set up Radix. Now, Radix today is a industrial instruments and automation solutions company. Our products are used to measure and control important industrial parameters like temperature, pressure, level, flow, etc. We are also well known for supplying products used in building automation and data acquisition systems. Now we have 2 businesses. One is a product business and one is a solutions business. In solution business, we provide solutions to the industry related to process automation, machine automation, data acquisition system, and building management systems. Now, as a company, all our products are designed and manufactured in-house. We have factories which are located, in the vicinity of Mumbai and Pune. Now, what differentiates us from, so many other companies is that all the technology is actually homegrown. It is all developed in-house by a team of almost 100 engineers. And our products are used by every year. Almost 5,000 customers buy products from us. So this is a very, very high level overview of the company. So in essence, I would like to repeat again, we are an industrial instrumentation and solutions company. So as a company, we enable connected factories, we enable intelligent factories.
Great. I think very well summarized, Shailendra sir. A homegrown company which is old, which is 100 engineers working to develop technology, serving 5,000 customers. I think it's a delight for any Indian in today's context, especially without getting into without digressing. So my next question to you is that, if I can ask you, what is Radix's vision for the next 3 to 5 years? How do you see the growth in the era of the Industry 4.0 slogan, where smart manufacturing, automation are the key drivers for manufacturing industry specifically?
Okay, that's an interesting question, Rahul. Let me answer it, in multiple layers. See, at the core, if you look at Radix, we are a products company, right? We started manufacturing products when, product engineering was relatively unknown in the country. Today, people talk about, products as the next .com, but we have been doing it for last 40 years now. So there were a couple of, very important inflection points in the growth of the company. So a couple of years ago, we decided that any product that we bring to the market has to be world class and exportable from day one. I mean, we are very proud of what we have been able to achieve in last couple of years. I mean, if you look at all the recent products that we have launched, they have been extremely successful in the market. All these products have been able to carve out a space against the competition from best in the world. Today, India as a market is very attractive. Companies like Siemens, Honeywell, Emerson, all the regular names that you keep hearing, all of them are present in the country. I mean, they have no option. Europe is saturated, US is saturated. So India is one of the few shining stars which is growing, and the demand is huge. So all our products have been able to compete successfully against them. And all the products that are in the pipeline, which are going to be launched this year and over next couple of years, I personally believe that they would be better than the best. Now, that is one part of the product development strategy. Okay, and that is more philosophical. That is something that we are already invested in, and it will continue, on the same path. Coming back to your original question, the Industry 4.0, that forms the essential part of our second strategy. It involves reorienting our product development. Say in last 2 3 years, there has been a very strong interest from our customers in the field of connected products. Products, when I say connected products, it essentially means products which can communicate and connect within themselves and with the internet. Now, as a company, we have listened very carefully to our customers, what they are asking, what are their needs, and what they want. And we've been investing heavily in building, these products. Today, out of the 100 engineers that we have in our, R&D department, at least 50 to 60% of them will be working on core technologies like, wireless, data logging, IoT connectivity. And all the products that are coming in the market today and over next couple of years will have these core technologies as a default option in the products. Now, earlier people were okay in, having just one sensor. Now people ask for sensors which can store the data, which can communicate the data, and which, products which can be monitored from an app. And all these technologies is where we are refocusing our efforts. and there is a lot of work going on both at the hardware level and at the software level. So we will have products which are essentially connected to each other, and the connectivity and the integration between the software and hardware will be very, very tight and completely seamless. Yeah, Rahul.
Yes, yes, I'm hearing you.
Yeah, so what I was saying is there's a lot of work which is going on both at the hardware level and the software level to come up with an ecosystem of products. The era of having a isolated product, a isolated sensor is slowly coming to an end, and people are talking about connected devices, and that is where we are going double down on the product development strategy.
Great. I think wonderful points. And if I can quickly summarize what you said, and especially in the point two, that Industry 2.0 is about reorienting product development. Connected products are the need of the hour. The industry, the consumers are wanting more connected products, which has more sensors, which can actually give more data to them. And if an organization, you know India traditionally has been a manufacturing a hub for mediocre products, and if Radix is doing something which is world class, it is par excellence, and I congratulate you for that. Um, you know, so let's move on to some basic technology questions, and then build on to the bigger round of specific technology points that I want you to answer. So, as one of the largest producers of automation sensors and other products, what kind of technology requirements do you feel Radix have? How has the technology helped the company stay competitive so far?
Please, we are in the field of measurement and control. Okay. So when you talk about measurement, you know, it is old as gold saying would be very relevant here. These are basic measurements of the physical parameters and converting these physical parameters to some sort of electronic signals. So here we are talking about classical electronics. This is in the realm of, fundamental research. So we are doing things which pertain to analog signal processing, and then once the signal is received, then you do a lot of digital processing, and then you send it to connected devices. Now, what has happened over the last couple of years, that while the fundamentals haven't changed, the software has started becoming more and more important. Earlier, a typical factory will have like 50 sensors, 100 sensors. Now, companies have like thousands of sensors installed on every floor. The amount of data that is being generated is humongous. And second, earlier factories used to operate on one shift, two shift, etc. Now the pressure on the productivity and uptime again has increased manifold. So both these trends in terms of amount of data that is being generated and the fact that the downtime is has kept shrinking has resulted in a situation where just the basic sensor is not enough, but you need an infrastructure where the data can be absorbed, the data can be stored, data can be analyzed, and some intelligence can be gained out of having this data. There have to be, I mean, the data is not enough if it is only for the sake of data generation. There have to be insights which have to come out of that data. So technologies like real-time processing, connected devices, IoT platforms, machine learning, artificial intelligence, all these technologies are becoming more and more common, more and more relevant, and the number of use cases around these technologies is exploding by the day. And these are the technologies which will carry us forward to in our next phase of growth.
Great. So, what I understood from you is that as the organization is progressing to embrace more fundamentals of Industry 4.0 and produce mass produce connected instruments, connected devices. There is a need for an infrastructure which can actually in real time store and analyze data, and on top of it, if you can put intelligence to make sense and get insights out of that data, is the demand of the hour. And you also mentioned about that there are numerous real time real life cases in the realm of AI, ML, and analytics. So Radix also wants to move forward in the same direction. Okay, wonderful.
Correct.
So so in times when the data is location agnostic, I mean, we are facing that time right now, that data can be accessed and has to be accessed from anywhere. So it is location agnostic. The workforce is fully mobile. What benefits do you think you can draw from a scalable, massive cloud-based platform that actually gives a single source of information for you to analyze the data, to apply artificial intelligence for better decisions, and also it acts as the central nervous system for your customers?
Okay, a good question. And I think, the recent pandemic, I mean, the special times that we are living through today, I mean, they have been, it has been an eye-opener for many of us. Now, let me answer it from a very personal perspective, the way things have panned out in Radix.
Sure.
See, today as a company, we wouldn't have survived this pandemic if we had not, gone ahead with our cloud journey. If you look at our internal systems, the whole ERP is a cloud-based ERP. The complete data storage, file storage, document management is on the cloud. We are heavily invested in the Google ecosystem. So all our, basic data crunching, etc., happens on the cloud. We are also, heavily invested in R&D, as I mentioned you earlier. So the whole product development is happening on the cloud. Today we are operating with, we have factories. So factories unfortunately cannot, work with people operating from home. But everybody who is in ancillary departments, very important departments though, like R&D, accounts, HR, system analyst, business analyst, all of them have been working from home. Now, this scenario would have been impractical if the data was not available, if the ERP systems, the CRM systems, the product lifecycle management systems were not available. Today, there is hardly any difference whether the person is sitting at home or sitting in office. And that has happened only because you have massive platforms which can store massive amount of data, and the information can be made available with a click of mouse. Now that is as far as Radix is concerned. And I'm sure, the same situation would have been witnessed and experienced by many of the people who are there in audience today. I mean, what I'm saying is nothing new. All of us have, experienced and witnessed that. Now, going ahead with customers, see, we make products which go at the core of manufacturing. If you have a temperature sensor on an assembly line and that sensor goes bad, the complete assembly line comes to a halt immediately. And today, when you have assembly lines which are more and more automated, the signal from the temperature sensor would be going directly to a DCS system or a PLC system, and the machine, these systems would be controlling the flow of manufacturing. One sensor failure can disrupt the whole manufacturing, and the losses can be tremendous. Now you want sensors which can be monitored, where there can be proactive maintenance, where there can be predictive maintenance. And all this can happen only when you have connected devices. So cloud is becoming more and more relevant, more and more important, and more cost effective. And that is the direction which is going to continue in our generation. I mean, this is a fundamental shift and it is going to happen. The data costs have come down. the connectivity costs have come down, and the reliability of these technologies has increased manifold. Now you are already in a stage where the vendor ecosystem, the solution ecosystem is fairly mature, and almost all the companies, I mean, we cater to 5,000 customers, and I would say if you look at top 2,000 manufacturers in the manufacturing companies in the country, more than 1,000 of them would be our customers.
Okay.
And when we talk to them, almost every company has either already initiated connected systems, or they are already talking and talking seriously of making taking their first baby steps into this world. So this is a trend which is going to continue, and I think in another 2 or 3 years, this will be like, for example, today's cell phone is not really looked at as a technology item. It is one of the basic commodities. And in 2, 3 years, the connected devices would fall under the same category.
Absolutely. So I completely agree, and you very beautifully bifurcated the two important usages of cloud, one for internal and one for external. I mean, customer usages. And you made a very profound statement in the very beginning that you wouldn't have survived if there was no cloud. Uh, I mean, the entire system, the entire company runs on cloud. That ERP, your file and data storages, you are heavily dependent on Google infrastructure. And what a beautiful example that you gave about the customers. That in today's world of automation, where everything is dependent on the sensor, the data coming from sensor, and if something goes wrong, how can it cripple and how can it disrupt the whole process of manufacturing and bring it down to a complete halt. So it is very important to understand, the listeners and the viewers should understand that what Shailendra is talking about is the dependability on a very robust and reliable infrastructure that reduces the downtime to almost zero and gives the scalability and flexibility, takes that many notches up. So wonderful, Shailendra. And so what was the criteria to evaluate the cloud technology when you started evaluating that, and also how did you evaluate the implementation partners? It's very important for us to understand what goes in the mind of a CEO when he is taking a call on technology, choosing a technology, and also choosing an implementation partner, because technology seller will sell the technology and may go, but the implementation partner will always remain with you. So can you please tell us that story?
We started on this journey a couple of years ago. And let me tell you, there are, couple of things which make the whole discussion very confusing. One, as you rightly pointed out, every technology partner that you talk to will basically, try to convince you how his technology is better than the others. And the second thing is it is constantly changing. By the time you come up to a certain level, the technology would have already moved to next level. There is so much action in this space that you want a partner who can take away the complexity, who can give you advice, who has experience and a track record in this field. See, as our business is revolving generally around IoT, we wanted a cloud vendor who can understand data, in its entirety. We don't want, while data scientists are important, but we want a mix of business and data. Now, Google has that legacy, the amount of data that we are generating is humongous. And Google as a product company has always focused on data. So if you look at the whole infrastructure of, Google, they have a product called Google Cloud Platform. Now there is a fundamental product, a core product, which is called IoT Core, which can connect to a large amount of sensors, and you can take out all the development, time and complexity by using a standard product from Google. And then you can build, and if you look at the complete suite of Google products, you have all the connected components. You will have AI, you will have ML, and the core assimilation, for the sensor data is Google IoT Core. So the overall, architecture of the Google platform is very complete and very relevant to companies like us. So there were a couple of things. So one, a partner who understands data and business, and a partner who is well versed with Google products. And both these things, fortunately for us, were satisfied by Pluto 7. So we work very closely with them, and it has been a good experience so far.
So the story has been very naturally flowing to its conclusion. A couple of years ago when you started discussing, it was a confusing discussion, and I can understand. I can really echo your sentiment that the technology changes are faster than our imagination. The R&D which happens in the technology stacks are faster than our imagination. So therefore, it is very important to choose a technology partner that takes the clutter out. I mean, the clutter of complexity out of us, and give us a clean solution, which works in the foreseeable future. And beautiful case study that you have.
Rahul, there is one more thing.
Please go on.
In this field, there is so much to do. There are so many use cases which are coming up, every day. There are so many opportunities. You need to prioritize your resources. So it is extremely important to have a partner who can basically free up your mind space, your bandwidth, and your resources and allow you to focus on your core priorities.
Absolutely. So, I mean, this is the whole purpose of this discussion. That how is the technology partner freeing your resources, time, and energy to focus on your core business and taking that complexity onto itself and give you the desired results. So, Shalinder, quickly, uh, what? So you have already described what Google products have you deployed, which was Google Cloud Platform and IoT Core, which connects to a large amount of sensors and has the ability to bring in AI and ML. So as my concluding questions, I would like to ask, what is the future business roadmap that you foresee for Radix, and how do you think that the digital transformation and the growth that you are currently undergoing will exceed and go hand in hand?
Rahul, last couple of years have been very kind to Radix. If you look at last 5, 6 years, I mean, barring this year, we have on an average grown by 20-25% year on year. And one of the things that is driving our growth is that companies and our customers are becoming more and more, smart in their infrastructure, which basically means there are more and more sensors which are going in. There are more and more systems which are, there to monitor and control different processes. Now, going forward, as I mentioned earlier in our discussion, I can see an inflection point where the connectivity doesn't mean connectivity within the premises. Today, more and more companies are evaluating architectures where the connectivity is at a global platform, at a cloud level platform, where people, irrespective of their location, can monitor and analyze information which is being generated. So, going forward, next couple of years, in terms of core technology, it will be connected products and a platform at the back end to support the amount of data that is being generated. Data is source of lot of business. You can derive lot of opportunities if you look at the data at the right time and in a right way. And that is where the platforms comes in very handy. Whether it is marketing, whether it is quality related data, whether it is manufacturing related data, whether it is energy saving data, there is a lot of data, but what is missing today is the ability to analyze that information. And for a typical company, it is, very, very difficult. I mean, impossible is not a right, word to use, but it is very difficult to have an infrastructure which is, completely scalable, which has capability for handling large amount of data. There is big data everywhere now. See, look at a company like Radix. We generate almost 50,000, inquiries every year. We generate, maybe 15 to 20,000 invoices every year. There is so much of discussion, so much of chatter, which is there on the emails, which is there on the phone calls, which is there in the system. But bringing this all together and garnering, insights in that data can be a game changer. But for that, you need specialized tools, you need specialized skill sets, and you need solutions which will work as per your use case. And that is what we are trying to provide to our customers.
Correct. So again, very subtly and very convincingly, you answered about how do you foresee the future, and what role do you see, for the technology to support your endeavors, the future endeavors. 50,000 inquiries that you generate every year. I mean, it will only grow in the future. 15 to 20K of invoices, it will only grow in the future. The unstructured data that is coming out of all the sensors will only grow exponentially. And to support that, to make sense of the data. Data is everywhere, but it is useless if you don't apply the right tools to get insights from the data. And that tools and insights come only when you have a very scalable and a very massively scalable platform, for which you don't have to worry about. I mean, you don't have to worry that how will you scale the technology when it is required at the right time. So thank you very much, Shailendra. I will take a pause with you for a moment here. I'm extremely delighted that we had a very
My
wonderful
pleasure.
discussion. It was very convincing for me. So stay with us. I will move on to the next logical point, that how a solutions provider, partner of a technology producer, makes it all happen for a customer. So thank you very much, and stay with me. So at this stage, you heard the story from Shalinder, the horse's mouth, how Radix has chosen Google Cloud, and how they have actually progressed well on their journey. So at this point, I would like to bring in Meghna Muralidharan. Meghna is the solutions lead and delivery manager at Pluto 7, about which Shalinder was talking about, which has done a great deal of work in Radix. So Meghna is an IIM Bangalore alumnus and an AI enthusiast. She, of course, loves exploring new ideas and technologies. So over to you, Meghna, and kindly do the needful, make the presentation.
Thanks for the introduction, Rahul sir, and a very insightful session from Shailendra sir as well. Right. So, hi everybody. My name is Meghna. I'm the solutions lead and project delivery manager at Pluto 7, working in manufacturing, supply chain, and retail projects. In my past roles, I have consulted in emerging technologies such as IoT, machine learning, and analytics, and I have provided training to government and senior ICT professionals in Singapore. So, as Rahul rightly said, what I enjoy being in my current role and in my past profile is to align business processes in companies' short-term and long-term goals and strategy with the modern technologies stack, and you can call it Google Cloud Platform, revolving around cloud, AI, and Internet of Things. So let me start sharing my screen. I have a small deck to present on behalf of Pluto 7, and give me a few minutes while my deck is getting pulled up. Hope my deck is visible to all.
Yes, it is. Go on.
Thank you for that. So Pluto 7 is the preferred machine learning and AI partner of Google Cloud Platform, and we have recently received this year, 2019, we received the Specialization Partner of the Year, mainly for data and analytics. And Radix was one of our customer for manufacturing solution, and I'll get into more details in the coming slides. Right. So the main focus or the competencies of Pluto 7 as a company is on three main areas, which is manufacturing and supply chain, sales and marketing, which remains a key functional focus. And we have been focusing on many use cases around these functional areas, mainly on in the manufacturing side, we have demand forecasting, supply forecasting, preventive maintenance, and revenue forecasting. On enhancing sales through Google Cloud Platform and machine learning, we focus on revenue forecasting, lifetime value prediction, sentiment monitoring, etc. And we have a whole bunch of use cases around marketing functional focus, which is basically to maximize the marketing ROI and increase the revenue. So what I will be doing is, let me walk through some of the customer use cases that we have solved in the past. And these are some of our logos around the manufacturing sector, right? This is an overview of the cloud AI portfolio, basically the products that support various logical use cases, starting from setting up the infrastructure, right? So we have the GCP platform at the base, which helps to set up the AI foundation, which includes edge computing and a whole bunch of accelerators and open source frameworks. So on top of that, we have this Google Cloud Platform building blocks, or we call it the Lego blocks, which includes your custom machine learning models, which you can customize according to your logical use cases or your business process and workflow. Or also you have the pre-trained models, which the developers can leverage without much development effort, and which is quite basic, or even somebody who's fresh to the cloud technology can leverage. And the topmost layer is the solutions and collaboration. By means of a external API, we can expose these solutions that you have built through custom to the outside world. So this is the basic foundation or Lego building blocks which we use for most of our use cases. So the first use case that I want to discuss, customer case study that I want to discuss, is around Maruti Suzuki. So the project MSIL is specifically around data analytics and ML AI needs. MSIL, Maruti Suzuki India Limited, wanted to initiate an electric car prototype fleet test. And one of the objectives of the fleet test was to identify a methodology to estimate the electric vehicle driving range for a given battery state of charge. So we solved this use case for predicting the remaining useful life cycle of the battery's electric vehicle battery state of charge. And this will in turn determine how much the vehicle can travel before exhausting the remaining charge. So the solution that we have used was around a custom machine learning model, which we built for Maruti Suzuki with a very good desired prediction accuracy in the lines of 90% for remaining useful life cycle. And we have used cloud machine learning services from Google Cloud and AutoML, which is like a pre-trained machine learning model. So the next use case we solved is around Hero. Hero Motorcorp receives over 10 lakh parts per day, and automatic parts identification for spare parts to manage procurement and reducing human errors. So this was the use case we solved for them. So as per the current system, part batches are entered into the warehouse management system manually, and later their labels are printed in the batch at each conveyor belt. So basically, Hero wanted to automate this entire process of labeling and identification of labeling, and we use computer vision based technology so that the human errors are minimized for label detection. And Hero involved Pluto7 for the parts identification project, and we have deployed their solution on Google Cloud, and we've been able to successfully display the part ID in the designated LCD display monitor, which is at the client side, at the Hero side. And again, for this project, the estimated result was reduction in the reverse logistics cost by 75% and reduced human errors, or minimized human errors, right? So the next use case is Radix. As Shailendra sir rightly said, Radix had a whole bunch of sensors, and we wanted to kind of automate the data pipeline through a Google Cloud component, mainly for IoT, called as the IoT core, from multiple sensors into a warehouse. And the warehouse is called as BigQuery in Google Cloud in near real time, right? And followed by dashboards on top of this ingested data. So with our solution now, the Radix team is currently having the capability to stream in real-time data by which we can help to take the decisions based on the past history. So the next use case we solved was for Synaptics. So Synaptics is a large-scale manufacturer of human interface technology based on touch devices, right? And they had a slightly different use case around, not regarding a computer vision, not purely on the manufacture, but around revenue forecast, right? And we feel that revenue forecast is a key node in the supply chain segment, right? And we built the problem we solved for Synaptics was around revenue forecast to manage the demand fluctuations for a wide range of their product segments around the human touch display. And we have operationalized and deployed their machine learning model, custom machine learning model again in GCP. And improved, the result was an improved sales forecast with over 90% plus accuracy. And the solution that we have given them has outperformed existing forecast of 8 out of 10 product lines. So the ABN Bev has been a strategic partner for Pluto 7, right? And ABN Bev is the largest beer company in the world. The company has approximately 400 beer brands in the likes of Budweiser. And with ABN Bev, Pluto 7 has charted a path for a long-term strategic relationship with multiple use cases in the manufacturing sector. One of the key use cases, and which we have successfully built, is around the beer filtration process. So the main agenda of the beer filtration process, or the use case that we solved, is to identify and reduce the knockdown events. And by reducing the knockdown events, what we are able to achieve is to improve the production and flavor of the beer, right? Because this is associated with the manufacturing setup. And we have also built a system where we could notify the operator to minimize the impact of the production downtime, resulting in significant cost savings. And you can find many such YouTube videos from the customer, which is ABN Bev, about the success of this use case which we solved for them. Right, and there are a couple of other use cases for ABN Bev that we have solved in the manufacturing setup around the packaging quality, apart from the beer quality, safety compliance, and quite recently we have been in talks with them for a safety, for a machine learning solution around safety for the factory workers amid the COVID-19 scenario, right? So one use case was around the face mask detector, and the second one is a social distancing tool tracker, which I can show up in as part of our demo portal. So L&T, what we solved is basically this is for L&T Construction, India's largest construction organization. So Pluto 7 built a Google Assistant enabled chatbot using a component called as a dialog flow, so that the managers are able to talk to the chatbot and for various project-related information happening on site, right? And this particular chatbot is connected to L&T's ERP system, and we have been able to collect the status of resources. So this is also something quite relevant for the manufacturing setup, where through Google assisted chatbot and dialog flow, we can get a near real-time response, right? To basically seconds or minute kind of a response. We have solved a use case for TASPL, which is TVS Automotive Solutions, right? And this is mainly around supply chain and manufacturing, right? And TASPL had all the processes around the supply chain, from basically tracking their product orders in the staging area, forecasting their product orders, getting inputs from the sales team. Everything was done manually, and there were various factors like unavailability of person in charge and other delays, right? And TSP wanted this entire process to be automated so that the team could focus on planning related tasks. And what we built for TSPL was the first phase of the entire supply chain visibility through a supply chain control tower to operationalize these various workflows like order to delivery of goods or internal stock transfer, and to even monitor the various supply performance dashboards all through a data pipeline in GCP. So we have a couple of solutions on the GCP marketplace. Marketplace is more like a app store or Google Play Store for the Google Cloud based on Google Cloud platform, right? And what we have been doing in the past few months is to release 10 solutions in the marketplace solution Google Marketplace platform all around supply chain and manufacturing. And what will catch attention is the preventive maintenance solution that we have. So these are the 10 solutions that we have. If you go to Google Cloud platform and go to Marketplace and search for Pluto 7, you'll find the whole 10 solutions that we have built around manufacturing supply chain. And you'll also find one solution around the preventive maintenance to predict the remaining useful life cycle, right? And this particular solution that we have built is based on a custom machine learning model. So probably people who are interested, companies who are interested, can directly go to the marketplace solution, get their solution downloaded, right? And the solution is will be on customer's instance, and you can try it with your own data. I think my screen is coming up, right? And so this is the last use case that I have for today to discuss today, which is California Design Den is a manufacturer of retail product, and they had a problem. They wanted to expand beyond the business beyond manufacturing and wholesale with e-commerce sales, and they want to basically streamline tracking of complex forecasting and reordering process. And we have been able to successfully connect the whole bunch of ERP systems and databases to Google Cloud, and we have leveraged Google Cloud machine learning APIs. And the result of the project that we did for them was a reduced inventory carryover by 50% with improved demand planning accuracy quarter by quarter, right? So now with that, I come to the end of the use cases that Pluto 7 as a consulting firm has solved for various enterprises, large scale accounts, right? And how we basically operate and how our enterprise business model works is like we operate one day machine learning workshop primarily on Google Cloud platform, followed by a proof of concept with the customer data, which will span for 6 to 8 weeks. And with the success of the proof of concept, we would be doing a production rollout or operationalizing and deploying it on Google Cloud. And so with this current scenario of COVID-19, we have also come up with a lot of relevant content and references around solutions and artifacts for COVID-19, Google Cloud case studies, and right, a whole bunch of artifacts we have for this. So with that, I come an end to my presentation. And Rahul, that is it.
Thank you, Meghna. You wonderfully explained, what Pluto 7 is all about, and also gave a very insightful download on multiple case studies from different organizations, which included Maruti, Hero, Radix. Of course, we are talking to Sir here, Synaptics, AB InBev, then it was L&T, California Design Den. So, I think enough specimen that you have presented, and also, how can the customers and the users search for solutions made by Pluto 7, the 10 solutions that you listed, and the content that is available for reference. So thank you so much. Stay with me. Shailendra sir, coming back to you, I have certain questions that needed to be addressed. Our attendees and delegates have asked certain questions. So Abhay actually wants to ask a very fundamental question, that what is the digital thinking? How a CEO and the management thinks about digital. How organizations can think approach as the challenge comes from the change management. What should be the approach of the organization in terms of managing the change and addressing the change management issues? You are on mute, sir. Can you please unmute yourself?
Yeah, it's a fundamental question. And the fundamental thing about change management is that it is never easy. And it can never be driven only from the top. I mean, it has to be a right combination of being from the top and being bottoms up. So until and unless you involve everybody in the change management, it will not have a very sustainable and a long lasting life. So change management, you will have to involve people, and with all the digital transformation things that we keep hearing, I mean, the final beneficiaries and the final drivers of this are going to be the teams themselves. It's not the CEO. It is not the top management. Top management might be the final, consumer. I mean, they would be happy looking at the dashboards, but it is the people, it is the, teams that are going to use it on a day-to-day basis. So you will have to involve them, you will have to convince them, you will have to explain to them, educate them, reskill them. All that is part of change management. Without that, it will not have a future.
Okay, so interesting question that came from an attendee, Prashant Mathur. He wants to ask. So it is about the return on investment, cost of technology acquisition. So how is it cheap to stock data in the cloud or in on-prem infrastructure when data has reached to a petabyte scale? I mean, we have been hearing these theories that it is difficult and not cost effective to manage a cloud infrastructure beyond a certain level when the data volumes are very high.
I mean, when you look at the cost, you have to look at the cost in totality. I mean, when you are talking specifically about only the storage cost, maybe Pluto 7 team would be in a better position to answer that. But from a CEO's point of view, don't look at just the cost of storage. I mean, you can build data lakes, you can build, use big data, etc., BigQuery, and, other products which are available on the cloud. But look at the resources also, which are required to manage, such systems. Look at the infrastructure that you will have to deploy to, have high availability of the data. I mean, for example, today, if you want to, if you are, managing, let's say, petabytes of data, you will need to have a lot of good engineers to handle that kind of, server load. You will need to have, systems which will ensure that, people can reliably and with a lot of security connect to these systems. Look at the amount of skill sets that you will need to deploy within, your organization. I mean, once you go to an established cloud player like, Google, Azure, AWS, etc., all that complexity is taken care by them. Now you have two options. One is to have your own, set of data servers in your premises. Vis-a-vis that, you have cloud-based systems. Now you need to do a very detailed estimation of all the costs involved in both the options. My opinion is managing people, managing such skill sets, and these technologies keep changing. So take into account the cost of obsolescence. You put together all these costs, then the equation may be very different from what it is, if you look only at the storage cost. I mean, don't look at it from such a narrow perspective.
I understood. So, Meghna, quickly, if you want to come in to give a supplementary answer, unmute yourself.
That's right, Rahul, and what Shailendra sir said is being rightly captured, right? So when you say the cost associated with this petabyte scale of data, it is not just the storage cost or the platform cost, right? I mean, the equation changes when you have the skills associated with the people who deal with the process, right, and who create these data pipelines. So as far as storage cost is concerned, and which is purely from the Google Cloud platform perspective, it's a pay as you grow model, right? I mean, you are not in a position, you are not setting up the infrastructure, you're not setting up the infrastructure on the fly, as in you're setting up the infrastructure on the fly, and you are using, your consumption is purely based on how much you use, right? And you're not leveraging all the resources at one go. So you take baby steps at a time, and then your cost is associated with each month's consumption. So it is kind of a cascading effect that you have with regard to how you grow, unlike a physical infrastructure that you set up for a cloud platform usage. I hope it answers.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, Shailendra sir, another very pertinent question, which also has to be answered by both of you, comes from my friend Parna Ghosh. He's the group CIO at Uno Minda, which is another big manufacturing company, which also is into a lot of usage of IoT. Pardon me. So he wants to ask, what about outcome-based models in IoT and AI projects? Unlocking cash and capital in these times is extremely difficult. How can we address this issue?
I mean, probably the question will need little further elaboration. But, the outcomes are also, it's a function of how clear the inputs are. I mean, if you can define your use case very tightly, and you can do, few fundamental things right. For example, what you are feeding into the system, what objectives are there, then the outcome is pretty much guaranteed. Now, if you look at, most of the IT projects, people want to do something on the cloud. I mean, forget cloud, it is actually true for any IT project. The objectives, start with a very high level definition, and the amount of detailing which is required to make it specific never happens. And that is the fundamental cause why, so many of IT initiatives, fail to live up to their expectations. I mean, if something can be carefully defined and something where, the inputs are properly validated, properly, curated, then the outcome is, in my opinion, fairly predictable. The success ratios are very high. But unfortunately, most of the IT projects fail to do these fundamental things. Too many stakeholders, too many leakages and, scope leakages. And then what you have at the end is probably not what you envisaged at the beginning of the project.
So Meghna, would you quickly substantiate on what he wanted to ask is, do you offer some such thing which is outcome-based models in IoT and AI areas?
When you say outcome-based models, right? What exactly is the input guidance here? I mean,
so I think I will connect you with him separately offline. But it is about locking the cash as of now. Locking the capital, because capital is hard to come by in these times. However, I will come back to you, with more specific questions from him.
Success-based models, success-based engagement.
However, I wanted to ask you a very different question. Do you have how do people engage with Pluto 7, if you can tell in a nutshell, and do you also have trial versions of your ML solutions?
That's right. So how we begin engagement is with a trial workshop, which is like, we offer a free 2-hour workshop to begin with, around the customer success stories. So we have a couple of more success stories apart from the ones that I have mentioned, and if required, we would be deep diving into the technology aspect of it, right? And it will be more like an interactive session. So the customer would come with a use case, and then probably we would be like consulting them, helping them with the consultation of what kind of components that we need to use for in GCP, right? So we start with a workshop. We start with a 2-hour workshop, free workshop, and then a 1-day workshop with an assisted usage of GCP platform, Google Cloud platform. And so that is how we begin our engagement. And once the customer is accustomed or comfortable with the GCP usage, then probably we start with creating account for them, and then starting with the proof of concept where we help them on board with their customer data, and building and giving them access to the GCP components, and helping them build the technology landscape for their logical use cases, right? And which is a proof of concept, and which spans around 6 to 8 weeks. So post which we start with the deployment or productionalizing in the real world scenario.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I will not hold you, much, but I have one more question that I wanted to ask you, which I also skipped. In fact, it was a very important question. So the question comes from Nipun Dan. Sorry. How do you secure yourself against disruptions caused with connectivity? I mean, what he wants to ask and what I want to substantiate is that too much connectivity is causing a lot of security, bringing in a lot of security loopholes. And in quest of these connected devices, what we generally do not, or rather oversee, is the element of security. So, what is your thought process on that?
Security is one thing. Probably in his case, he's probably asking about redundancy. It is disruption because of security or disruption because of connectivity. So anyways, I will try to answer both.
Yeah, could be.
So if it is, question of connectivity, then you will have to deploy your whole, you have to architect your whole application intelligently. I mean, what kind of decision making to take to cloud, and what kind of decision making you have to do through edge computing, that you have to be very clear. If it is, something which is critical process control kind of requirement, you can take the summary information to the cloud, but the controlling, you have to keep it on the premise. So the answer, in that respect, you can have, redundant channels of communication. You can have SIM-based communication. You can have cable Ethernet. You can have radio frequency-based Ethernet. All of that you can do. But at the end of the day, the whole application has to be engineered in such a way that a connectivity disruption doesn't cause catastrophic failure at the control level. So that is as far as the engineering is concerned. Now, talking about security, it is a well-known fact that there are a lot of security loopholes when people start going to the cloud. The product that you choose, the application that you choose, has to have a proper layer of security. You can, at the bare minimum, there is no end to the amount of security that you can build in your solution or your application. But at least even if you take the basic things, let's say TLS kind of, HTTPS kind of security, that would probably take care of 99% risk. Depending on the sensitivity of the information, depending on the criticality of the application, you can keep building layers and layers of security on top of your application. That depends on, the application, the use case, the scenario, and the budget. But at least my advice would be, at least take the basic steps. The hygiene factors have to be there. Basic security doesn't cost so much. If it is considered from day one, you will be safe to at least 99% extent. Meghna, you are probably a better person to answer that.
Yeah. So just to add to that point, right? So for AI side of the things, right, and even manufacturing solutions for AI side of the things, we have an option in Google Cloud to just have an inference at the edge side of the things, right, which will help make the which will help to take the decisions at the edge side of the things. So the inference can be done at the edge, whereas your whole bunch of logic still happens in the cloud side of the things. So if there are some mission critical applications where you don't want to export certain decision making to the cloud, you still have the option to download the model at the edge and still take decisions there. So that is one aspect of looking at the engineering side of the things. And for the otherwise for the Google platform side of the things, we have a secure and encrypted handshake between the GCP and on-prem, and we have a couple of GCP components around the Google Cloud Security Center, Command Center, and the key management system, which ensures that there is a secure channel being built up from the cloud side to the premise side, right? So that definitely ensures. But even otherwise, some certain level of inferences can be done at the edge.
Thank you, Meghna. I think we have spent good 1 hour and 10 minutes. It was a very enriching discussion with both of you, especially with you, Shailendra sir. Listening as CEO, without any adulterated views and coming very spontaneously is always a
Great.
delight. I really enjoyed the conversation with both of you, and I hope that our listeners, our delegates who joined us, there were over 100 of them who joined us, must be taking some meaningful insights from both the experience of a CEO, how to take the digital transformation journey to its logical conclusion, logical end, and also from Meghna, from a service provider, from a solution provider's perspective, as to how to engage with them and what kind of use cases you should imitate that she showcased. So thank you very much. Thanks both of you. Thanks to my listeners. Thanks to my audience. And with this, I come to an end to this edition of Meet with Digital Thinkers. Have a very nice day and goodbye.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Rahul.